The pit bull trotted into the park with something wrapped in a blanket, held gently in his jaws. At first, people thought it was a toy until the blanket moved and a faint cry pierced the spring air. A baby. Panic broke out. Phones came out. People ran, but the dog wouldn't let anyone get close. He growled, stood his ground, and refused to move until one paramedic realized why he had carried the baby there. So, what exactly did that dog sense that no one else could? First, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us where in the world you're watching from. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. The morning sun filtered through the trees of Riverside Park, casting dappled shadows across the freshly mowed grass. Parents chatted on benches while children squealed on the playground equipment. A typical Saturday in May. Pleasant, peaceful, ordinary. Sarah Chun adjusted her sunglasses as she watched her twins race toward the slides, mentally calculating how much longer until snack time would be necessary. Beside her, elderly Mr. Patel smiled, tossing breadcrumbs to persistent squirrels despite the signs prohibiting it. The familiar weekend rhythm had established itself. Joggers circled the outer path in their brightly colored gear. Teenagers shot hoops at the basketball courts with exaggerated trash talk. Young couples spread on picnic blankets, pretending the rest of the world didn't exist. It was the kind of perfect spring day that made Sarah grateful they'd moved to this neighborhood 3 years ago. Despite the higher mortgage payments, the community park had become their weekend sanctuary, a place where her twins could burn off energy while she enjoyed rare moments of relative peace, until a woman's sharp intake of breath shattered the calm. "What's that dog carrying?" Heads turned toward the eastern path, where a muscular pit bull trotted with purpose. Something clutched gently in his jaws. The dog's brown and white coat gleamed in the sunlight, his powerful body moving with determination rather than aggression. Yet, the sight immediately triggered alarm among the parkgoers. The animal was massive, at least 80 pounds of solid muscle, with a characteristic broad head and powerful jaw that had become the subject of so many fearful news reports. "Is that a blanket?" someone asked, voice tight with growing concern. Then came the sound, a weak, muffled cry, unmistakably a baby's cry. The reaction was immediate and electric. A father yanked his toddler off the ground and backed away, nearly tripping over a bench in his haste. 2 teenage girls scrambled up from their picnic blanket, abandoning their carefully arranged Instagram-worthy lunch spread. Mr. Patel dropped his breadcrumbs, mouth falling open in shock, his weather hand instinctively reaching for the cell phone he barely knew how to operate. "Oh my God!" Sarah gasped, grabbing her phone, her twins momentarily forgotten as adrenaline flooded her system. "That dog has a baby." The pit bull continued its deliberate path toward the central plaza, seemingly oblivious to the growing commotion. Its eyes scanned the area as if searching for something specific, its movements displaying none of the erratic energy of an aggressive animal. When a young man stepped forward with hands outstretched, the dog swerved, a low warning growl rumbling from its chest without releasing its precious cargo. "Don't get close," an older woman warned, clutching her grandchild protectively against her chest. "If it feels threatened, it might—" She couldn't finish the sentence, the implication hanging heavily in the suddenly charged atmosphere. Everyone present knew the statistics about pit bull attacks, the horror stories that circulated on social media. The fact that this one had somehow gotten hold of an infant sent collective dread rippling through the gathering crowd. The tiny cries continued, weaker now, as the dog found a spot beneath a maple tree and carefully laid down, positioning the blanket-wrapped bundle between its front paws with what appeared to be deliberate gentleness. From within the soft blue fabric, a tiny hand emerged, confirming everyone's worst fears. "That's Lily Wells," gasped a woman in running clothes, recognition dawning on her face as she pulled out her earbuds. "That's Mark and Jessica's baby from Maple Street. I've seen them walking her stroller around here. They just moved to the neighborhood last month. He's a software engineer or something." The park security guard, a retired sheriff's deputy named Bill Garrison, approached with caution, hand hovering over the pepper spray on his belt. After 27 years in law enforcement, he had developed a healthy respect for situations involving animals and children. "Everyone stay back," he ordered, trying to project an authority his weekend uniform didn't quite convey. He silently cursed the park administration for their strict no firearms for security policy, something he'd oppose at every quarterly meeting. Crouching low, he made soft clicking sounds with his tongue, drawing on half-remembered dog handling techniques from a seminar he'd attended 15 years ago. Easy, boy. Easy now. The pit bull's head lowered, teeth baring in a silent snarl that stopped Garrison in his tracks. The baby's cries grew more intermittent, concerning the growing circle of onlookers. What had been panic wails just minutes ago were now fading to weak whimpers, a change that everyone recognized as potentially ominous. "I'm calling 911, Sarah announced, phone already at her ear, her twins now clinging to her legs as they sensed the tension in the air. "Yes, emergency," she said when the dispatcher answered. "Riverside Park, near the Central Plaza. There's a vicious pit bull that's taken a baby. Please hurry. The baby's crying is getting weaker." The dispatcher's calm voice carried faintly from the phone. "Is the dog showing aggressive behavior besides not relinquishing the child?" Sarah watched as the pit bull readjusted the blanket with surprising gentleness, yet remained fiercely alert to anyone who drew near. Its behavior seemed contradictory, protective toward the baby, defensive toward humans. It's growling at anyone who approaches, but it's not hurting the baby, at least not that we can see. It just won't let anyone close. "Police and animal control are being dispatched," the dispatcher assured her. "Please keep a safe distance and monitor the situation until they arrive." "How long will that take?" Sarah pressed, watching the baby's movements become more listless. "The baby doesn't sound good." "Units are approximately 6 minutes out," came the measured response. "Please stay on the line and continue to observe from a safe distance." The circle of onlookers widened as more park visitors noticed the unfolding drama. Phones emerged from pockets and purses, some dialing for help, others recording the scene, modern witnesses documenting what many feared would become a tragedy. Parents held their children closer. Couples abandoned picnics, and a yoga class on the nearby lawn broke up as participants drifted toward the growing spectacle, drawn by the primal instinct to witness danger from a safe distance. Despite the security guard's warnings, a man in his 30s with Little League coach's jacket stepped forward, clutching his car keys. "I've got dogs at home. Let me try jangling these. Maybe it'll distract him enough that someone can grab the baby." "Don't be a hero, man," someone warned from the safety of the crowd. "That thing could take your arm off." The coach ignored the warning, his face set with determined confidence. "Dogs respond to me. Trust me." He moved slowly into the clearing, keys extended, creating a gentle metallic sound. The pit bull's ears perked forward, his amber eyes tracking the movement with unnerving focus. But when the man took another step closer, the dog's demeanor changed instantly, back arching, a deep growl emanating from his throat, while somehow still maintaining careful control of the blanket-wrapped infant. The coach backpedaled quickly, his confidence evaporating. "Jesus, did you see that? It nearly took my hand off." "It didn't even lunge," muttered Mr. Patel, though no one paid attention to the elderly man's observation. Long ago, in his village in Gujarat, he had raised 3 generations of working dogs. He recognized protective behavior when he saw it, but who would listen to an old man these days? A woman with gray-streaked hair shook her head grimly, clutching her designer purse like a shield. "This is just like what happened in Cleveland last month. Pitbull attacked that 4-year-old. They're just not safe animals. I read they're responsible for more attacks than any other breed combined." "I read about that, too," another parent nodded, phone raised to capture video. "Had to put 3 bullets in it before it would let go. Something wrong with how they're wired." The whispers grew, painting the trapped animal as a monster, while the pit bull continued to periodically glance at the bundle between its paws, its tongue occasionally darting out to lick what appeared to be the baby's exposed hand. The baby's cries had weakened noticeably, coming in sporadic gasping sounds that only heightened attention rippling to the gathered observers. Sarah Chun, still on the phone with emergency services, relayed the changing situation. "The baby's crying less now. I don't know if that's good or bad. No, nobody can get close. The dog growls at anyone who approaches." She listened to the dispatcher, then added, "They want to know if the dog appears rabid." Bill Garrison squinted at the animal from a cautious distance. 30 years of law enforcement experience assessing the situation. No foaming or erratic behavior. It seems focused, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. He'd seen plenty of perfectly healthy dogs cause terrible damage, especially when frightened or cornered. And right now, this animal was surrounded by a growing crowd of concerned citizens, each one inadvertently adding to the pressure cooker atmosphere. The distant wail of sirens brought a collective sigh of relief. 2 police cruisers pulled onto the park's service road, lights flashing as they bumped across the grass. Officer Marcus Delgado was first out, his hand instinctively resting on his holstered weapon as his partner, Officer Jacobs, radioed their arrival. Central, Unit 34 on scene at Riverside. We have visual on the animal and infant. Animal Control, ETA. 5 minutes out, crackled the response. The crowd parted as the officers approached, their faces grim with professional concern. Sarah Chun rushed forward, still clutching her phone. "The baby's barely making sounds anymore," she reported, her voice tight with worry. "It's been almost 15 minutes since I first called." Officer Delgado nodded curtly. "Ma'am, I need everyone to move back at least 50 feet. He raised his voice to address the crowd. "Everyone back. Give us room to work." The pit bull's eyes tracked the new arrivals, its powerful body tensing visibly. The blanket-wrapped bundle between its paws stirred slightly, emitting a weak whimper that sent a visible shudder through the watching crowd. "Jesus," muttered Officer Jacobs. "That dog's got to be 90 pounds of muscle. Look at its jaw grip on that blanket." Delgado keyed his radio again. "Dispatch! We need animal control with tranquilizer capability ASAP. The situation is deteriorating." He turned to his partner, voice lowered. "If that baby stops making noise completely, we may need to take the shot." "The dog hasn't hurt the baby yet," interjected Bill Garrison, the park security guard who had approached the officers. "It's actually been careful, almost protective." Officer Delgado's expression remained professionally neutral. "Sir, I appreciate your observation, but we need to establish a perimeter. Please help move these people back." Though he'd never admit it publicly, situations involving both animals and children were the ones Delgado dreaded most. They combined unpredictability with extraordinary public scrutiny, a combination that could derail careers even when handled correctly. The dog had adjusted its position, somehow maneuvering the blanket with its teeth to keep the infant partially visible. The baby's face appeared flushed with sporadic, labored movements. Even from a distance, the infant's condition appeared to be worsening, adding urgency to an already tense situation. "I don't like how that baby looks," Delgado murmured. "How long on the ambulance?" 2 minutes out," his partner replied, consulting his radio. An ambulance arrived, its siren cutting off as it parked beside the police cruisers. 2 paramedics in Navy uniforms emerged, equipment bags in hand, scanning the scene with practiced efficiency. "Stay back for now," Delgado called to them. "Animal control's en route. Dog isn't allowing approach." The female paramedic, her name tag reading Bishop, nodded but continued moving forward slowly, her eyes trained on the bundle. "I need to assess that infant," she said calmly, her voice carrying the quiet authority that came from 15 years in emergency services. "How long has the baby been like this?" "At least 15 minutes since the first call," Officer Jacobs replied. A white van marked Animal Control pulled up. Ramirez, a weathered man in his 50s with salt and pepper hair and deep smile lines that suggested a generally optimistic disposition, emerged with a tranquilizer rifle. He'd been handling animal complaints for 22 years and had seen firsthand how quickly public perception could turn a confused animal into a monster. He approached cautiously, scrutinizing the scene with experienced eyes. "What's the dog's behavior been like? Any foaming, erratic movements?" he asked, already running through mental protocols for aggressive animal containment. "Protective," interjected Garrison before the police could answer. "It won't let anyone near the baby, but it hasn't tried to hurt it. If anything, it's been careful." Officer Ramirez nodded, preparing his equipment with methodical calm. "Could be resource guarding. Could be the dog thinks it's protecting the infant." He checked the tranquilizer dart. "I'll need to get within 20 yards for a clean shot." Paramedic Tara Bishop watched the unfolding scene with growing unease. While her colleagues focused on the pit bull as a threat, her trained medical eye caught concerning details about the partially visible infant. The baby's color seemed off even from this distance, and the pattern of its weakening cries triggered alarm bells from her pediatric emergency training. 15 years as a paramedic, 8 of those specializing in pediatric emergencies, had taught her to recognize subtle signs others might miss. "Wait," she said, stepping forward despite her partner's warning hand on her arm. "Something's not right with that baby." Officer Delgado glanced at her impatiently. "Ma'am, we're handling the situation. Please stay back." "I'm not talking about the dog," Tara interrupted, her voice carrying the authority of medical expertise. "I'm talking about the infant. The breathing pattern is wrong. The skin tone looks off from here." She studied the pit bull's posture with a different perspective than her colleagues. Where they saw aggression, she noticed the careful way the dog repositioned the baby, the gentle adjustment of the blanket with its teeth, the protective rather than predatory stance. Having volunteered in animal rescue for 6 years before becoming a paramedic, she recognized nuances in canine body language that others might miss. "That dog isn't attacking," she said slowly. "Look at its body language. It's guarding." Ramirez, the animal control officer, paused in his preparation of the tranquilizer gun. "She might be right. The posture is defensive, not aggressive." Officer Jacobs shook his head. "We can't take chances with an infant's life based on dog body language interpretation." "I've worked with rescue animals for 6 years before becoming a paramedic," Tara countered. "Let me try approaching. Different body language, different energy." Delgado's expression hardened. "Absolutely not. We have protocol." "While you're following protocol, that baby could be in a medical emergency," Tara pressed, taking another step forward. "I think the dog knows something's wrong. That's why it took the baby to get help." Ramirez lowered his tranquilizer gun slightly. "It's not unheard of. Dogs can sense medical events, even ones humans can't detect. Seizures, blood, sugar drops." "We don't have time for theories," Delgado cut in. "Ramirez, what's your status?" "Ready when you give the word." The animal control officer replied reluctantly, raising the gun again. Tara made a split-second decision. "Give me 30 seconds, she said, already shrugging off her radio and utility belt. "Just 30 seconds before you take that shot." Without waiting for permission, she began moving forward in a low crouch, her body language deliberately non-threatening. Instead of approaching directly, she moved at an angle, avoiding eye contact with the pit bull, her movement slow and telegraphed. Her heart pounded in her chest, but years of emergency situations had taught her to channel fear into focused action. "Bishop, get back here," Delgado hissed, but his partner placed a restraining hand on his arm. "Let her try," Jacobs murmured. "Ramirez still has a shot if needed." The crowd held its collective breath as Tara edged closer to the pit bull. The dog's eyes tracked her, ears alert but not flattened aggressively. She kept her voice low and soothing, the same tone she used with frightened children in emergency situations. "Hey there, buddy. You're being a good dog, aren't you? You know something's wrong. I see it, too." 10 yards away now, the pit bull's posture remained tense but hadn't escalated. Tara could see tiny tremors in its muscles, the strain of maintaining a protective stance despite rising stress levels. "I need to help that baby," Tara continued, her voice a gentle monotone. "You did good bringing them where people could see. Such a good, smart dog." The pit bull's tail, which had been rigid, twitched slightly, not a wag, but not a threat signal either, perhaps recognition that this human somehow understood what was trying to communicate. "She's making progress," murmured Ramirez, though he kept the tranquilizer trained on the dog. 5 more seconds, then take the shot," Delgado ordered, his hand still hovering near his service weapon. Tara was close enough now to see the baby clearly through gaps in the blanket. What she saw confirmed her worst fears. The infant's face was swollen, lips taking on a bluish tinge characteristic of oxygen deprivation. Classic signs of severe allergic reaction. "The baby's an anaphylaxis," she called back, her professional demeanor momentarily cracking with urgency. "I need my kit now." For a moment, It seemed the breakthrough was imminent. The pit bull's rigid posture softened incrementally, its focus on Tara intense but not aggressive. Taking the shot, Ramirez suddenly announced, "Wait." Tara began, but the sharp hiss of the tranquilizer gun cut her off. The dart struck the pit bull's muscular shoulder, eliciting a startled yelp of pain. The crowd gasped, expecting violence. Instead, the dog looked down at the baby, then back at Tara with what seemed like urgency rather than aggression. "Damn it!" Tara swore, abandoning protocol and rushing forward. He was about to let me help. The pit bull wobbled slightly, the fast-acting sedative already affecting its system. Yet, remarkably, it still maintains protective position over the infant, even as its legs began to buckle. "Keep away from those jaws," warned Delgado as officers moved in behind Tara. "He's not going to bite me," Tara replied with conviction, reaching the pit bull and kneeling beside it. "He's trying to save this baby, not hurt it." The dog's eyes were growing heavy-lidded, its magnificent strength fading as the sedative coursed through its body. Yet, in a final act that left even the skeptic speechless, it gently nudged the blanket-wrapped infant toward Tara before collapsing onto its side. Tara caught the baby as the pit bull's legs finally gave way, cradling the tiny form with professional urgency. "I need epinephrine and oxygen now," she shouted, already unwrapping the blanket to fully assess the infant. The blanket fell away under Tara's efficient hands, revealing the 6-month-old infant in full medical crisis. The baby's face was dramatically swollen, particularly around the eyes and lips. Bright red hives covered the visible portions of her neck and arms. Most alarmingly, her respirations were shallow and labored, the faint wheeze audible even amid the commotion. "This baby is in full anaphylaxis," Tara shouted, her training taking over. "Get my kit now." Her partner sprinted toward their vehicle as Tara gently positioned the infant, assessing vital signs with practiced precision. The baby's skin was clammy to the touch, her pulse rapid but weakening. 20 minutes in anaphylactic shock, Tara muttered, her expression grim. "Way too long." Her partner returned with a medical kit, which Tara tore into a controlled urgency. With gloved hands, she located the pediatric epinephrine auto-injector. "Severe allergic reaction," Tara explained as she administered the injection with practiced efficiency, then immediately began preparing oxygen. "Her airways are closing. Without epinephrine, her heart could stop." The gathered crowd had fallen eerily silent, the only sounds a hiss of oxygen and the faint wheezing of the infant. Even the previously hostile murmurs about the dangerous dog had ceased as the true nature of the emergency became clear. "The dog knew," murmured Bill Garrison. Somehow it knew she was in trouble. Officer Ramirez knelt beside the sedated pit bull, checking its breathing. "Animal instincts are sharper than ours, especially with medical conditions. That's why we have seizure alert dogs, diabetic alert dogs." Tara nodded without taking her eyes off her patient. The pit bull wasn't threatening the baby. It was trying to get her help. She glanced at the unconscious animal with newfound respect. It carried her to the most crowded area of the park where someone would notice. "And we all assumed the worst," Saracen said quietly, the realization spreading visibly through the crowd. A tense minute passed as Tara monitored the infant's response to the epinephrine. Gradually, the wheezing began to subside. "She's responding to the AP," Tara announced, relief evident in her voice. Pulses strengthening. Officer Delgado's radio crackled. "Unit 34, be advised. We've located the parents. Jessica and Mark Wells are en route to your location. ETA 3 minutes." A commotion at the edge of the crowd interrupted further discussion. A young couple burst through the police line, the woman's panicked voice cutting through all other sound. "Lily, my baby." "Where's my baby?" Officer Jacobs intercepted them. "Mr. and Mrs. Wells, your daughter is receiving medical care. She's responding to treatment." Jessica Wells pushed past him, her eyes wild with maternal panic, until they locked onto her daughter in Tara's care. "Lily, oh, God, what happened to her? Is she... Your daughter is experiencing a severe allergic reaction," Tara explained calmly, maintaining her focus on the infant. "We've administered epinephrine, and she's stabilizing, but we need to transport her to the hospital immediately." Mark Wells stood frozen, his face ashen. Allergic reaction to what? She's never had allergies before. Has she been tested recently? Tara asked, her hands continuing their professional assessment of the baby's improving condition. Jessica nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, just last week. The doctor said she showed sensitivity to tree nuts, but we've been so careful. Sometimes first exposures can be mild, but subsequent ones severe, Tara explained. Even trace amounts can trigger anaphylaxis in sensitive individuals. As the parents hovered anxiously, Jessica suddenly noticed a sedated pit bull nearby. What's that dog doing here? Was it dog attack? Did it hurt my baby? Mrs. Wells, Tara said quietly. From everything we can determine, that dog saved your daughter's life. What? Jessica stared at Tara, incomprehension written across her tear-streaked face. Before Tara could elaborate, Officer Ramirez's radio crackled. Animal Control Unit 2. We have individuals approaching, claiming to be the dog's owners. Family name Brooks. A woman in yoga pants and a windbreaker broke into a run when she spotted the sedated pit bull. Cupcake, she cried, dropping to her knees beside the unconscious animal. Oh my God, what did they do to you? Is the baby okay? She asked, looking up with genuine concern, even as her hands protectively stroked the pit bull's fur. Did Cupcake hurt anyone? That's your dog's name, Cupcake? Sarah couldn't help asking. Yes, Cupcake. He's our family pet and a therapy dog in training. The woman answered defensively. Please tell me he didn't hurt anyone. He didn't harm the baby, Tara assured her. In fact, all evidence suggests he was trying to help. The baby was in anaphylactic shock. Your dog apparently found her and brought her to a crowded area where she could receive medical attention. Wait, Markwell said. You're saying this dog somehow knew our daughter was having an allergic reaction and deliberately carried her to find help? Mr. Brooks nodded. Cupcake has been in specialized training for nearly a year. He's learning to detect medical emergencies. Seizures, blood sugar drops, respiratory distress. We've been working with Midwest Medical Alert dogs. He escaped from our yard this morning, Mrs. Brooks added. We've been searching for hours. Dogs trained for medical alert can detect chemical changes in strangers, explained Ramirez. If he was loose in the park and came across a baby in respiratory distress, he did exactly what he was trained to do, finished Mr. Brooks. He sought help. The animal control van pulled closer, its rear doors opening. Mrs. Brooks tightened her grip on Cupcake's collar. You're not taking him. He didn't do anything wrong. Ma'am, there are protocols, began Ramirez. Protocols for dangerous animals, she interrupted fiercely. Not for heroes. Even Mark Wells stepped forward. If what everyone's saying is true, then this dog saved Lily when I couldn't. I don't think he should be punished for that. Dr. Singh, who had arrived with the second ambulance, added, Anaphylaxis in infants can be fatal within minutes without treatment. By the time you returned to the stroller and found her missing, then searched the area, then finally called emergency services, another 5 to 10 minutes could have resulted in cardiac arrest. The weight of this revelation transformed the crowd's perception completely. The dangerous pit bull narrative had been shattered. Your dog saved my daughter's life, Mark said simply to the Brooks family. He did what he was trained to do, Rebecca replied softly, though pride shone in her eyes as Cupcake's tail thumped weakly against the ground. Jessica called from the ambulance. Mark, we need to go. He nodded, glancing once more at Cupcake before climbing into the ambulance. I don't know how to thank you, all of you, he said, his eyes moving from the Brooks to Tara, to the officers who had responded. But that dog is the reason our daughter is still alive. 3 days later, the Wells family visited the hospital's garden courtyard, where the Brooks family waited with Cupcake, now wearing a bright vest identifying him as a service dog in training. How is she doing? Rebecca asked as they approached. Completely recovered, Jessica answered. The doctor said we were incredibly lucky. Jessica hesitated, then knelt before Cupcake, balancing Lily in one arm while extending her other hand. After careful assessment, the pit bull gently sniffed her hand before giving it a soft lick. I never thought I'd feel comfortable around a pit bull, Jessica admitted. But knowing what he did, she stroked Cupcake's head. Thank you for saving my baby. Cupcake shifted his attention to Lily, who reached out a tiny hand toward him, gurgling happily. Officer Delgado arrived with a small box. The department wanted me to deliver this personally. He revealed a specialized tag for Cupcake's service vest. It's an honorary K-9 unit recognition. It's deserved, Delgado continued. I was first on scene that day, ready to act based on assumptions rather than observations. It's a powerful reminder about the dangers of snap judgments. He knelt, offering the tag to Cupcake for inspection before handing it to Daniel. Sometimes heroes come in forms we're taught to fear, he said quietly. Mark laughed softly. Who would have thought her guardian angel would have 4 legs and a pit bull's heart? What began as a misunderstanding born of prejudice had transformed into something valuable, a reminder that heroes sometimes appear in the most unexpected forms, and that sometimes it takes a moment of crisis to see beyond our preconceptions. Have you ever witnessed an animal sense something that humans completely missed? Animals often possess instincts that can detect danger or illness long before we notice the signs. Cupcake's remarkable ability to recognize baby Lily's life-threatening condition reminds us that sometimes our 4-legged companions understand emergencies in ways we can't comprehend. Would you trust a dog's behavior, even if it seemed threatening at first glance? Our story shows how quickly we judge based on appearances rather than actions, especially with breeds that have unfair reputations. If today's story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more extraordinary tales of animal heroism. Don't forget to press the notification bell so you never miss our daily uploads of incredible stories. Check out our other amazing stories appearing on your screen now. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, with another extraordinary story that might just change how you see the world.